Doomsday 3.
Yeah, we had Doomsday 1.
No question in my mind.
He came from one of the toughest areas of Phoenix, most especially on the North Side.
Praying for safety and
got people on the defense talking about it. You better get your ass involved. You better get involved.
I just gotta say, when it comes to Dallas,
Different.
For sure, and they would have thrown it off because
This guy gets off you.
And I go to bed every night like, G man, I promise you that we got a What is up, Cowboys Nation? Your boy Mike Tag here. Great weekend, great draft weekend that gets you hyped up for the season that's going to be starting. So we are here back in the morning. We'll do a couple morning shows. Maybe get, Greg and I are the only ones up in the Cowboys Cave crew that wants to do it. So make sure if you're rolling in, hit that subscribe, hit the like. We appreciate all the new subscribers we got over the weekend, man. It's always great adding new members to the Cowboys Cave family. So much love for that. And before we get rolling, Greg, how you feeling today? How you doing?
good, bright and early. They say what they say, if you're gonna hang out with the Owls at night, you gotta get up and fly with the Eagles in the morning.
That's right. That's right. And I got a full day plan. I got to do a little Costco. We got maybe a little Home Depot. Got maybe Bed Bath & Beyond. I got a full day of activities after watching the draft, partaking in a few beverages afterwards. And I don't know if you want to say celebrating, but appreciating the draft. We're going to get into it, but I did want to share, and I posted it. I have had a couple pieces in my Cowboys cave that I've been waiting on getting Coach Jimmy Johnson to sign. You see I'm wearing my shirt. And always loved him with the U. The first one was, if you guys remember, when he came to the Cowboys, this was the big Sports Illustrated they have, long climb back, and got him to sign it, put "How about them Cowboys" on it for me. So we did that. But then my other prized possession is the ticket stub. That was their first win, 1989. Their only win for Jimmy that season. But finally was able to get it signed. So I'm going to put together a little collage. I've got a picture of Steve Walsh handing him the ball. So I was going to get Steve Walsh to sign it and hopefully put together something nice. But I'm hoping to get some new memories, maybe with Shoddy, maybe getting something going with him. But first reaction to the draft. Steven, that good character. Is that a shot? Steven? Anyone who watched the live show knows I'm talking about. Even Eugene called it the next morning, said, man, I got to apologize for that. But anyway, that was fun. But what's your thoughts in the chat, and what's your thoughts, Greg, on the draft overall, looking at the needs they got, maybe some things they didn't address? Where's your head at today? And you guys in the chat as well.
I give them I did a grade last night. I gave it some serious thought, and I decided I give them a C+ on this draft. It's good. I'm not overwhelmed. I was looking for them to get a running back earlier. The two running backs they got are decent, and then they didn't get a wide receiver at all. But one thing I did notice, they addressed their needs and what they had on their board this time, instead of going for the low-hanging fruit and the nice candy out there and then avoiding the board. So they were smarter this time in their selection process for offensive and the defensive players. But I still would have hoped that somewhere along the line, maybe in that second or third round, they went out and got a running back, a premium running back, because the opportunity was there for them to get at least one, and then do what they did with the rest of the players. And that one draft pick that they gave away, I don't know what they did with it, traded for next year or what. They could have used that one maybe to get one of these other players late because they were still available. So I give them a C+. I would have gave them a B if they would have got a running back early, a premium running back, and then the rest of the players, okay. But, time will tell how they turn out.
Well, unfortunately, Greg and I would disagree, and that's okay. That's the beauty of being a fan, is we could disagree. I thought they hit a home run with the draft. I mean, PFF thought they hit a home run with the draft. CNN or SI thought they hit a home run with the draft. Every kind of person out there, look at the draft and maybe not the roster that they have now and how that correlates. But, getting Donovan in the second round, I mean, he was a high first round grade. Getting Ravel in the third round, he was a first round grade on a lot of boards. Obviously, the injury 4 games into the season, but he should be ready by training camp. So they got a baller at cornerback they addressed. They got a pass rusher that you could say, yeah, and I thought they were fine at pass rusher, right? You say, hey, they don't need it. But, I mean, some of their guys are on 1-year deals. I mean, this is a young kid. You lost, obviously, Tank. This kid's good against the run. He had double-digit sacks. He's a guy that it made me wonder, and I don't know if the Cowboys are going to be running some hybrid defense, but he is a perfect person for like a 3-4, his size. He's not a real big guy, right? He'd be a perfect 3-4 linebacker, edge rusher, and so would Micah Parsons. So it makes you wonder if maybe they're going to run some hybrid 3-4 in certain situations. I'm not sure. Obviously, the running backs, you and I guess, differ a little bit on that. I think Blue he was one of the fastest running backs, 4.38 speed. He's going to be the lightning. And if you're a Canes fan, you kind of know those Clemson running backs. That dude's a bruiser. So you're going to have your Thunder Lightning. You still got Javonte Williams. I think there's going to be a person that's going to be on the outside looking in. I don't know if it's going to be Miles Sanders. I don't know if it's going to be Williams. I think it probably would be Miles Sanders unless they scrap all their running backs and just go with those 4. I think that's probably going to be the case. I thought defensive tackle they addressed. They went another lineman, which, again, I thought that they were good with their line, so I was surprised with that. But I thought overall, to your point, they stuck to their board. They stuck to BPA. And I think it worked out really well for them. And they had some guys that fell into their lap. I don't know much about the linebacker from Florida, but I don't like anyone from Florida. And I sure the hell don't like that they didn't take any of my Hurricanes because I've been bitching about that. And so that was the only down part. Wide receiver is definitely a concern. And looking at our receivers that we have on this roster today, obviously we picked up some undrafted free agents. That kind of stuff went out there. There's not a lot of hope there. I mean, obviously you got CD Lamb, but there's a lot of guys, unproven guys, and guys that haven't lived up to the hype yet. So I don't where are you at with wide receiver? That's still got to be a major concern, right?
Yeah, our wide receivers are decent, but we need a home run hitter on the opposite side of CD Lamb, so we can have those bookends to keep the defense smart, keep the defense honest on having to spread their defensive backs to play 2 phenomenal wide receivers. Because right now, if everybody doubles up on CD Lamb, that means one of these other receivers is going to have to come out and carry the load. And if they carry the load enough where they're accurate, they get their routes out, they get the balls a lot, they beat their cornerbacks, then next thing you know, they might try to double up on those guys, and then CD Lamb gets some room. So either really develop Ryan Flournoy or Jonathan Mingo turns out to be that person, or Jalen Brooks, who we know we can count on. We can count on Jalen Brooks if Dak gets him the ball. But I still was looking for a premium wide receiver to come out. That way, immediately teams know we got to line up and split our coverage for both of these guys, because this guy right here is the truth. And then the rest of these receivers we got, they're complementary because they're good receivers, but we need those bookends to keep some of that pressure off of CD Lamb. So if we get one in free agency, because there's some good free agent wide receivers out there, known free agent wide receivers out there that will make defenses split their coverage just because of their reputation and experience. We get one of those, great. But I don't know who on this list is going to step out and be that other bookend for CD Lamb. And only time will tell in training camp.
Yeah, and I mean, they're high on Mingo, and I tell people, he was a 23 second-round pick. He was like the 4th or 5th receiver taken off the board. went to Carolina, has not obviously did not, play well, but I mean it's Carolina. So I mean it's hard to hold that against him. Came over in a trade mid-season. I still am not comfortable with it. I'm with you. I'm getting a veteran. I'm getting someone that at least I've got some confidence and comfortable with because he's been proven, whether it be, I dare say Amari Cooper, that name always comes about, or Keenan Allen. Those are kind of the two names left out there that could still be effective. And obviously, we're not asking either one of them to be a one. We're just asking them to be a compliment to CD. CD is going to be the guy. The other wild card, obviously, is Jake Ferguson. I saw that in the chat. Definitely tight end is going to be interesting. But these other guys, I'll just be honest, like Jalen Brooks, I'm done with that. I'm Cropper. The other two guys are undrafted. Paris Campbell, they signed. I mean, he's kind of bounced around. Flournoy, I mean, he was a rookie last year, so I'm not giving up on him. Jalen Tolbert's a 3, and he's a damn good 3.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I think that's where he needs to be. I don't think he needs to be a 2. So I think that is going to be the key for them, is how they address it. Now, what I will say is if you guys paid attention to the draft and you guys saw how they drafted the Thunder and Lightning at running back, they get another interior guard. They draft a tackle. So they're really loading up on this offensive line. They loaded up on their running backs. They're looking to be smash mouth running the football. And maybe they don't feel another receiver is going to be that important. Maybe, they want to run the ball 30 plus times a game. I don't hate it if that's what they want to do. They got the 2 defensive tackles. If they show up, then you're going to play solid defensive front, win in the trenches, and be a smash mouth football team. Maybe that is their end goal. That remains to be seen how it works, but I think creating an identity is something that's the most important thing for this team, because I don't think they have an identity. They have no identity on offense at all. You don't know what they are. Are they passing? Are they running? Are they balanced? I mean, it's just there's so much uncertainty that I think the identity is going to shift to a strong running game.
Yeah, it was a mixed bag last year, because not only did they not have any identity, then Dak gets hurt. Well, we didn't have a running back a game, so that right there made us a one-option team. And then Dak gets hurt, and then we go back to Cooper Rush, and then Coop is Cooper Rush. He can manage the game, but he's not really going to exploit the talent that we got. But I say this about our receivers and about Tolbert. I don't give up on Tolbert or Brooks, because Dak this last season, even the season before, Dak got to the point where he started relying too much on CeeDee Lamb as his default. And if Dak spreads that ball around, because those guys are open. Like that Atlanta game, Tolbert was wide open down the sideline, wide open. Didn't see him at all. And if Dak spreads that ball around, if Shoddy gets those plays set up where not just CeeDee Lamb is the featured receiver, these guys can shine. I just don't think we got the ball to them like we should. And a lot of times, if we don't see receivers getting a lot of catches in the game, we start to think it's the receiver's fault. When in fact, you don't get to see the coverage that they're blowing up, that they're passing. When you're watching the game, all you know is they didn't get the ball much. And I saw how Dak got, and Dak was running, and Dak seemed he was indecisive, and his fail-safe was always to throw to CeeDee Lamb somewhere. But he's got to be smart enough to understand everybody's going to be on CeeDee Lamb, especially last season, and use that opportunity to find these other receivers that are open, and don't just hit them because you're trying to get out of the pocket and run to the sideline. Oh, and one just happens to be there on the sideline. So if Dak and Shoddy and they decide to utilize our receiver core for what it is, we'll be far more successful. You'll see a lot more getting the ball. But then again, to keep the defense honest, you bring in that experience, whether that person is going to be a number 1 or number 2 or not. The experience alone and reputation of this person will make defenses split their coverage immediately. And I noted Amari Cooper left on bad terms, and that was a bad move by Jerry Jones. A bad move by Jerry Jones over some locker room BS. If he brings Amari Cooper back, we got him. Because Amari Cooper is a precise route runner. Amari Cooper can play. Amari Cooper will get the ball. Amari Cooper is a premium receiver. Teams, after he left the Cowboys, didn't really use him like that, and they should have. But if we bring him back, now we got that premium receiver on the other end, and these other complementary receivers, we got more than enough to handle the load.
Yeah. My only thing on Cooper, I'm like kind of done with the Cooper to Cowboys thing. I'd rather see him get Keenan Allen personally. The only thing that sticks in my head with Cooper is that the playoff game and also third downs when he was on the sideline, and he just kind of his body language. I'm a body language guy, maybe because I'm 305 and Miami Hurricane. I need to see some. I need to see some passion. I need to see some. He just seems lackadaisical to me, and that's my only concern with Cooper. I think he's great. I love him as a person. He's a good guy, but I think they need some. I think they need some juice. And Keenan Allen has got some fire in him. And a lot of people, I've seen people say, "Well, God, Mike, he was terrible last year." He wasn't terrible. He was on the Bears. Go look at him the year before when he was with his run with the Chargers. He had like 1,400 yards, 100 something catches. And now you're asking him to be a 2, which Cooper's going to get some of that attention. The thing I would say with our receivers, what makes a passing game look even better? A running game.
Yes.
And if we run the ball, if we're committed to run and we got these guys running, I mean, think about the problem the Cowboys had the last, let's say couple years. Mm-hmm. Nobody feared our run. So they're loading the box and they're going to try and take out CD and they're going to put, some guy in an island with our other receiver because he's not very good or doesn't strike fear in anyone. So it changes the way teams play us. So if you're running the ball, it's like I said, talked about, and of course, I always get a comment, you go too old school, but you just go back to that Super Bowl, and I say it over and over again. That's what I want. When you talk about identity, you talk about the Cowboys, Emmitt Smith, that offensive line, 8 straight plays, exact same run play. The Bills couldn't stop it. And that was the mentality of those Cowboys. Go back to the Parcells years when you had Barber and you had that. We're running the ball, try and stop it. And I think the Cowboys, that's the identity they need to get back to. That's the identity I want to see them have. And I'm hoping that it works for them. I hope they get it, and I hope they stick with it. And I like the running backs that they got. I'm happy. I know you're not as enthralled with them. I think they're good. I think you got a physical one. You got a speedster. I mean, Blue does have, there's fumbling and I didn't see a ton of his games, but that's something I saw a few things written up. Fumbling could be a concern. He was behind, some good running backs at Texas as well. So he wasn't as prominent in a lot of his early years, but he's a game breaker. I mean, he's a game breaker. And between those two, and don't sleep on Javonte Williams either. I mean, Greg, you remember them Hurricane games with him. He embarrassed 200 plus yards. Yeah. Injuries have been the key, but he's only 24, 25 years old.
Yeah, he'll be healthy.
He's still got a lot of life left. So I think the identity of this team is so critical for their success on offense. But let me ask you this. Let me just switch it to you guys and Greg, get your opinion, because Kelly and I on our show, we went back. And because Kelly's tough on our Cowboys, and I don't know if you're tough on him or if you're
Kelly's tougher. Kelly's tough on him.
He's tough on him. So we broke down every position group, and I got him to agree that the Cowboys offense in 25 to 24 is better. You got Dak back the whole year. We got the running game. The wide receivers are about the same. The offensive line is better, right? Tight ends are the same. We got the same group. Defense is where it was hard for me to make a case, right? It was hard for me to make a case. Defensive line, the edges are probably better. Defensive tackle, worse. This was before the draft. Cornerback, worse. Linebacker, because you don't know Overshown, probably worse. You lost Kendrick. So focusing on the defense, looking at what they did with the draft, getting another premier rated edge rusher, getting 2 defensive tackle, big body defensive tackles. There's some big
ones
boys in there. Getting Ravel at cornerback. How do you think the Cowboys defense is going to be this year? Do you still think that they need to address maybe a veteran cornerback, maybe a veteran linebacker, maybe bring Kendricks back, bring someone back, because again, you're unsure what's going to happen with Overshown? What do you guys think about the defense?
Well, I like the picks on the defense, and the 2 big boys in the middle, that should help plug up some holes on the defense to stop people from running all over us. Having that edge rusher gives us another bookend with Micah Parsons, which is great. If Overshown was healthy and started the season, would be phenomenal on that line. And that corner we got is going to be good, but we need to get another veteran cornerback, no doubt about it. Gilmore was seen walking around the campus last week, I guess the day before draft or something. So I don't know, maybe the Cowboys are looking at him or looking at maybe bringing Gilmore back. But we do need to get another cornerback back there on defense. But the defensive line, if they pan out, if these young guys pan out, they're going to be better on that defensive line to stop the run than we were last year, because we need that bad. If we can't stop the run, then there's definitely no way that we're going to be able to stop that pass, because they're going to run. We're going to load the box to stop the run, and then all of a sudden they're going to pass on us, and then we're not ready for it. So that defense picks that they stuck to the board to get are great because they filled needs, and that was the first thing they did. So as the draft was going by, although I didn't get that premium player I wanted, wide receiver or an earlier premium running back, I was still happy when I saw defensive tackle, edge, linebacker, defensive line. I said, okay, and offensive line, because we were filling the needs. Now, on the offense, the reason why Blue and the other running back can succeed is because we're loading up that offense with the losses that we had. We're loading up the offense to make sure that we got a wall there to allow those guys to get through. And if this offense does their job, it doesn't matter if we got a running back in the 7th round and he was kind of explosive. They will make it, because if we get those holes open and the running game opens up, look at what's going to happen on the receiving core. We will be able to light people up throwing that ball if we can run it. And even last year, we had some decent passing until Dak got hurt, and then Dak was throwing a lot of balls on the ground. It was just something totally off about Dak, whether he was in the game or not. But we were able to succeed in some of the passing game, in spite of the fact we had absolutely no running game, and the defense had to play us. They doubled up on our receivers because they knew we couldn't run the ball. We still had some success, especially with Cavante. So if we get that running game going, and believe me, they're gonna rely on that running game this year, because that's what we need. If we get it going and that offensive line matures and these guys play well and open those holes, I'm telling you, it's going to be lights out on offense when it comes to receivers. And if we get one premium receiver, maybe a Keenan Allen, yes, or I still say Amari Cooper, it is going to be awesome this year. Get everybody healthy, because Sam Williams should be coming back. Overshown should come back maybe around game 8, and that'll give us that other linebacker / edge. We might be in a position where we can really compete.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And the schedule's tough. I mean, the Cowboys, the NFC East as a whole, they got to play the NFC North and they play the AFC West. So you're playing the 2 best divisions top to bottom in the NFL. So the Cowboys, the Eagles, the Commanders, the Giants, they got their work cut out, and it's going to be interesting. But what I would say is I agree. I think the team, the identity of this team is critical, and I think the defense has an opportunity to be better. I think this coaching staff, you can't underestimate coaching, and they've got a mindset. You know, the coordinators they've brought in, they've got that offensive line mindset, that blue collar mindset. Shoddy is everything you've kind of heard him in the interviews, and he's saying everything right. It seems like they're building that camaraderie together between the coaching staff and the players, and I think that has, there's a big impact. Coaching matters more in the NFL and football in general, from Pop Warner to the top, than any sport in around. I mean, basketball, If you got LeBron James, chances are you could be pretty damn good. I could probably go coach them, and they'll be pretty damn good. Baseball, you get a couple guys. I mean, there's just not a much impact as in football, because you see these teams take this big swing. You see them go from last to first. They get a new coach and they change it up, and it's all about the psyche, the mentality, and everything that goes with it. So looking at the division, first of all, Greg, we'd be remiss. I don't know about you, but I'm going to be watching some Tennessee Titan football. Cam Ward's there. I think criminal Xavier Restrepo went undrafted, but when you get past like the fourth round, you're better off being undrafted because you can kind of pick your spot. He is now going to the Titans. Yep. So, I mean, I'm excited to see how their career develops. And it is, I hope, and I truly believe, I don't think Restrepo's not a Hall of Famer, but Restrepo is going to be such a weapon for that team. He's always open and he catches everything. And sometimes these teams get so in love with 40 times and combine and what they're doing and, how they're running in shorts. And he didn't run a great 40 time, but anyone who's watched him play for 4 years, watched him at Miami, lined up against him. I mean, you had Steve Smith talk about other, former receivers come out in his defense. The dude's a baller, and I would have loved to see him on the Cowboys, because if this is the identity and they want to be smash mouth and they weren't going to invest in a receiver, Restrepo would have been a perfect fit, because he could have been that underneath safety blanket. He could have been that Cole Beasley that, Romo had for a lot of those years.
I was going to say Cole Beasley.
Perfect route runner and always open. It would have been great to see, but I'm wishing them well. I'm not going to go get a Titans jersey, but I will be watching some Titans football. So it's good to see. Just a little shout out to my Canes.
Yep. I was sitting here thinking he reminds me of Cole Beasley and Quebec with the Jets. Those guys you can rely on. They're going to get the ball and they're going to make something out of it. And if the Titans are smart, because they're bringing in Cam, and they know that Cam loved Restrepo at Miami and he made big dividends with him. If the Titans are smart, they keep Restrepo on that team, because Restrepo is Cam's blanket. He's his safety blanket. And Cam knows how Restrepo can get open and how Restrepo can disguise his routes and get where he needs to be for that ball. So I really hope the Titans are smart and they keep Restrepo, because they will gain big dividends with Cam and Restrepo if they keep him.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be phenomenal. And question is, with the running backs we got, does this mean the end of Deuce Vaughn? I think it does. I think it does. They may put him on the practice squad or whatever, but I think that's probably, that story's over, unless they find a different way to use him. But even when they was in there, he just didn't seem as effective as I think a lot of us hoped.
No, and I think Jerry kept him one season too long because of his dad and the fact that he's basically Cowboys family. Jerry decided to keep him, and he was thinking, well, look, what do we have to lose? We didn't get a running back. I blew that, and our season looks like trash. So instead of trading him mid-season and going to get a running back, which he didn't, he kept him out of loyalty, I think. But Deuce, this should be his last year with Dallas. And I'm not saying playing. I don't even think he's going to make the team and stay on the team by the time everything pans out, unless we have a lot of injuries and we can't get anybody on the waiver wire. So Deuce will be out of there. And I don't think it'll be a good trade bait either, because I don't see anybody.
No one. He's produced nothing.
Unless they use him as a kick returner on special teams or something.
Special teams would be the only thing if they're trying to save Turpin a little bit, maybe just save a little mileage on him, to use him on offense more, to be kind of, one of those playmakers. But hey, real quick, just want to say, hey, 300 of you guys hanging out in the cave. We appreciate it on this morning, on a Sunday morning. Definitely love it. If you haven't subscribed yet, what are you guys waiting for? Hit that subscribe, hit that thumbs up, hit that like button if you're hanging. Also, if you're watching on X, do your boy a solid and head over to YouTube if it isn't too much trouble, and hit that like button on there as well and subscribe. We appreciate it. Love doing Cowboys content. We're going to be talking some draft stuff, but there's going to be a lull So with that lull in between training camp, I do have some guys lined up. We're going to get my man, Big Nasty Kevin Gogan's going to come back, and we need to see what he's up to because he loves traveling. He loves doing some adventurous stuff. So we're gonna catch up on him and some other great Cowboys from the past and have some fun with it. So definitely, you guys hit that subscribe. Appreciate all the support. So looking at the division, and this is where I need you guys help in the chat, man. Looking at this division. You saw what the Giants did. The Giants went out and got themselves a quarterback. Now they already have Russell Wilson and they got Winston, and now they get Jackson Dart. They get Scatterboo. They're building their team up a little bit. Had a nice draft. Washington, I wasn't that crazy about their draft, to be honest with you. I thought Philly had a solid draft. They just find a way to get defensive studs that just fall in their lap. So, and they got my guy. Ty from the defensive tackle from Nebraska that I was high on for the Cowboys. How do you see this division? Do you think the lineup, the top to bottom is shifted? A lot of people, let's just say the way it ended. You got Philly, Washington, Dallas, Giants. Do you think the balance of power has shifted in any direction for any of these teams, or you think it's kind of that's where it is right now?
Well, I don't see it shifting quite too much yet because it's too early to see what these draft prospects are going to turn out to be. Philly was smart. They didn't have to go do a lot of drafting. They filled some needs of some key players that actually left in the secondary. So they filled some needs, and then they went out and got Syracuse quarterback, which I said way before the draft, months before the draft, that is a decent quarterback. If anybody gets him, they got somebody. They got a game changer. But the Commanders, I wasn't really paying attention to them as much. I don't know why the Giants, I guess because the Giants picked so early that the Giants were more prevalent on my mind during the draft than anybody else. Giants got about 3 or 4 decent players, but the Giants still need a lot of work. And these players coming in, they're going to have to end up being the veterans. They're going to have to end up coming in being the starters right away. So we don't know how that's going to pan out. The Commanders, I didn't see a lot of what the Commanders were doing. I don't know what kind of flash in the pan they got, but the Commanders end up letting some people go last year that maybe they should have stuck with and kept. So that might hurt them some. Now, I think they did go out and get another wide receiver, which should help them. But the Commanders, that was Debo in free agent. But the Commanders, I didn't see a whole bunch in there. So I wouldn't change the ranking position of the teams just yet, other than the fact that, just keep it the way it is until I see how this pans out. We got the weapons we need. Now let's see what the culture is going to be like with this new coach. Let's see what the unity is going to be like with the team and how many players come back healthy from those that were hurt last year. And then how Dak comes out because, Dak's is this his 10th season or so coming up? And Dak, if he comes out playing like, okay, I really need to step my game up because I'm getting later in my years, and if I'm going to do it, now's the time to do it with this roster. Or if Dak comes out and plays like he played last year before he got hurt, we're going to be in trouble early. So we need a whole lot out of Dak. Now, he got married. He had a child. He got his new house built. Dak, he's got his money. So is he complacent? Is he that much more hungry? Is he ready to take the culture of this team and move with it? Or is just going to be put on your suit every week, come in as a business thing, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't because I got paid. So I want to see Dak come out extremely hungry, knowing that the clock on him is ticking because we still didn't get a quarterback. And I don't know what we're going to do. We got Milton.
We traded for Milton.
We got Milton.
Yeah.
But that third string quarterback, to me, he can go to UFL because I think he's just the default as a third string.
If you got to get to your third string quarterback, I don't think it really much matters what we do.
No.
But let me just say this: Washington they did get the offensive tackle in the first round from Oregon. They got Trey Amos, cornerback. That's who I liked as well. I had him in there. They got the receiver from Virginia Tech in the 4th round. So what? And then they ended up getting a linebacker. They didn't have a lot of picks. They got a running back in the 7th round out of Arizona. So they really didn't do much in the draft. I thought the Giants I'm just looking up the draft real quick, guys, just so I can cut it.
Yeah, the Giants did a really good job with filling some needs, and that arrogant general manager, he might have saved a little grace from last year making that big blunder by some of the players they got. But I tell you, Cleveland, a lot of people say, well, Cleveland's looking to rebuild next year. Look, Cleveland had an opportunity with the picks that they had. They could have got Abdul Carter and Travis Hunter.
How could they have got that?
Because they had the second pick. I think they had the second pick.
They had the second pick, but they weren't.
Listen, they had the second pick. They could have took Abdul Carter right then. Boom.
Yeah.
Then when they got their next pick, I don't know if it was 4th, 5th, or 6th.
No, they traded down. That's why they gave up the second pick.
But see, they shouldn't have done that. They should have took Abdul Carter, and then that other pick they got, that's when they could have got Travis Hunter. Because Jacksonville got Travis Hunter.
No. I just want to correct because you're confused. They only had one. They traded down.
I thought they had 2 picks in the first round.
In the top 5? No, they didn't have 2 picks in the top.
Oh, well, they should have got Abdul Carter. They would have had a bookend with Garrett immediately. That would have helped them big time. They let Abdul Carter get out. That guy, man, even if we were in that position and we hadn't taken Abdul Carter to help Parsons, that would have been a catastrophe among catastrophes. They should have got Abdul Carter on that pick. And then later, they decided to pick up these players. And I'm thinking, what are you doing? You got 5 quarterbacks, 2 rookies that you got in this draft.
They're going to find one out of these.
And you didn't get anybody to protect those quarterbacks. So what are you doing, Cleveland? You're setting these guys up for failure, and you didn't get the defensive prowess that you needed to help Garrett. I don't get what Cleveland's doing. I don't get that at all.
Well, thankfully, we're not a Cleveland fan, so we don't.
Well, good. And I'm glad they're not. I wish they were in our division now, the way they picked.
Oh, absolutely. But the Giants got Jackson Dart. They obviously got Carter. They got Darius Alexander. The one thing people better not sleep on is the Giants' defensive front. Now you got Carter on there. You got you're adding some depth with Alexander, and they were already formidable to begin with. That defensive front's going to be pretty damn good. Scatterboo, he runs hard.
Yeah,
I mean, people don't want to tackle him. He's one of those guys that he could end up being a problem. And they got a cornerback, and they drafted a tight end, not so much. So they did pretty good with their draft. It's all going to be dependent on Jackson Dart, because the only thing is with the Giants, if that coaching staff is gone and the GM is gone after this year, if they have another bad year, that quarterback kind of gets stuck in a bad position, because then you got a whole new staff, a whole new regime in there. And typically the way they want it, they want to go get their guy. So that's the only thing that would make me worry about the Giants and Jackson Dart. Philadelphia, another solid draft. They got Campbell from Alabama. They got Lukaba from Texas, a safety. He was the one who laid out that Georgia quarterback in the playoff game. They got a cornerback out of Central Florida. Munden from Georgia. They love those Georgia guys. I had him on my Cowboys mock draft. They must have been looking at my mock draft, because they got McCord, the quarterback that I was high on out of Syracuse. I wanted Dallas to get him until once they traded for Milton, then I was done with that one. They were pretty solid. I mean, it was a pretty solid draft for the Eagles. So, but it's like I tell people, I got to stay consistent. All these grades and all this shit, it don't mean anything. You can't really grade a draft until 2 to 3 years in, because you just don't know. You don't know how these guys are going to translate to the next level. It's like I was talking to someone. I said, the thing about the NFL, from Hall of Famer down to just an average football player or a guy who's out of the league in 2 years, it is razor thin. I mean, these guys are all the best of the best. And you think about it, what is it? Less than 2% or 1% of the players in college even make it to the NFL. So think about that. How many teams, how many players? When you get to this level, there is everything else that just kind of like, it's like, what are you going to do? It matters how you are in training camp. And that's why you saw, someone like Shedeur Sanders, who has the talent, he has everything, but he slides because some of these teams are like, is he 100% into football? Is he worth everything that comes with it? Because we're trying to build a program, and he's, Shador's going to get that opportunity to prove the doubters wrong and to make sure that, hey, this is his chance to put his stamp on it. But you see that happen year in and year out where these guys fall. They fall in the draft. It's the same thing. God, what's his name? John Randall. He tweets it out every year. He said, you don't need to get drafted to get one of these. He's got his gold jacket on. Mm-hmm. So all of these guys, these undrafted free agents, these guys late round, they got an opportunity to be an all-pro, to be a Hall of Famer. Just because you're a first round doesn't guarantee that you're going to be the man at all.
Oh, no, because there's a whole lot of first rounders that were duds, especially in the quarterback department.
Oh, yeah.
A bunch of them. I'm glad he got drafted. I just feel like he would have been a better pick if he went to like the Raiders or even a backup in Minnesota, because Cleveland is not going to protect those quarterbacks back there. And Cleveland right now isn't doing anything to show anybody any protection. So if him and Dylan Gabriel get in the game, they're going to be running for their life. And unfortunately, everybody's going to say, oh, these quarterbacks suck. But when you got to run for your life, it's not the quarterback's fault. It's the offensive line, it's the coaching, it's the general managers who didn't put anything up there to protect you, to give you time. And that's why I hope this first season, I hope Dylan Gabriel or Shador don't even get on the field, because they're not ready to
get on the field. Flacco's a quarterback.
They're not ready to protect them. They're not ready to protect them, and I think that's a recipe for failure on setting up both of those quarterbacks. Now Philly, on the other hand, Philly addressed their needs on defense, which was smart. They had some key defensive players that left. They addressed their needs on defense. And Washington, the biggest asset biggest deal Washington made to me that gives me worry is not in the draft. It was the pre-free agency pickup of Deebo Samuels. Him and McLaughlin, oh my God. That right there, and Daniels as quarterback, Deebo brings a whole different dimension to that team. And remember, I was talking about how the defense needs to split their coverage. Now you got to cover Deebo and McLaughlin. McLaren, how are you going to do that? That's why we needed that hitter like that, like a Deebo on that other end for us. So if we go out and get one of those free agent wide receivers, that experience, that automatic split coverage, we're going to be much better. But it's going to be tough in our division this year because Washington didn't do bad. The Giants did good. Philly maintained what they needed to maintain. We had a good, decent, but we got a lot of unproven assets, and we got players that need to come back off of injury, and we got a key player that went on injury, and we don't know what Diggs is going to be like. Diggs can find himself and during free agency in the middle of the season being traded away from us.
Yeah, that was someone in the chat said, do you think that Diggs makes it through training camp? Because the Cowboys have been a little critical of him and, some of the rehab and some of this and that. And if they end up being happy with the cornerbacks they have, they drafted Carson, you got Ravel, you got that. So if they're getting, I don't think it would happen. I'd be shocked unless they signed a free agent. But Diggs has got a heavy contract, and they're going to have to make a decision on Bland, next year. So there's going to be some thought. And I don't think Bland's a shutdown corner. I think he's a playmaking corner. I think he gives up big plays, but he makes big plays. So you just kind of take the good with the bad. So I'm not sure Diggs' future in Dallas. It's definitely up in the air.
But what Diggs has got to do in training camp is show that mentally he's over that injury. And in training camp, he's got to come out in training camp now like he's a rookie. And he's like he just got drafted or he got traded to the point where people are starting to look past him, because Diggs has got to really show in training camp, I'm back mentally to the Diggs that I was. Physically, I'm ready. And my hustle and desire is there, and my arrogancy is gone. Because if he doesn't, he's going to be a liability. He's going to be a liability, and other offenses will know that. And they won't look at Diggs the way they looked at Diggs before the injury. They'll look at him as clickbait, and they'll be able to exploit him. So Our defensive secondary, I have no idea what we're going to look like until it pans out in training camp, because I know what we had last year. I know what happened with Diggs. I don't know. And then Gilmore left, even though he was a veteran. I don't know what we got. If you ask me to put a stamp, any kind of stamp on our defensive secondary, right now I couldn't. I couldn't even peel off a sticker because I don't know what we look like or what we're going to be like. And Diggs has got to show me that Diggs loves football and he's ready to play.
Yeah, and I hope you're right, Steve. But I will say, Ravel, he had one injury. He had one injury in his last year. So no, he hasn't been injured more than Diggs. But I guess we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But Diggs has the ability to be that shutdown corner and a playmaker. So I want Diggs to be great. I want Diggs to get back to where he was. But you just got a couple things concern me. One, it's been consistent years of injuries. And two, his mindset. You know, when you're seeing him going out to confront a media person that tweeted something about him during the game, 2 seconds after game, he's still in uniform. I wonder where his mindset is. I wonder, is he too thin-skinned? Because, I mean, if you're playing for the Cowboys, you're playing in the NFL, I mean, you're going to get criticism. It's the same thing I would say with Dion. Maybe one of the things that hurt Shador was Dion, anytime anyone said a little bit constructive criticism about Shador, Dion went on a rant. He went on social media. He called them haters and this and that. And, hey, no quarterback's perfect. I mean, Dak Prescott gets criticism almost every day, every hour by the media, and you don't see Dak Prescott running back into the media, confronting it or anything like that. I mean, that comes with the territory of being a quarterback. Quarterbacks get most of the blame and they get most of the credit, and they don't deserve either one of them. It's a team game. A lot of the blame you could put on the whole team. A lot of the credit when things go great, you could put on the whole team. It's unfortunate quarterbacks are judged by Super Bowl wins. That's how they're rated. And is it fair? No, but that's just the way it is. It's just the way it is. You'll never tell me Dan Marino isn't one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time because he doesn't have a Super Bowl ring, and that Trent Dilfer and Joe Flacco are better than him because they got a ring. And, oh, by the way, they played with two of the greatest defenses in NFL history. So there's a lot of things that go into it, but it's the nature of the beast, and social media is even bigger and bigger today than it was in yesteryear. So it's just something they got to deal with. But I think for Shador, and he said something that was, I thought great on his video. He's focused on football. Yes. He's not focused on the outside, the rap, the music, or whatever else he had going on. I think the best, as hard as it was to watch, if you just, we love kids, and we, he's a kid. At the end of the day, he's a young man, but you don't want to see them go through that. But that probably, that adversity could turn out to be the greatest thing that ever happened to him. And if it is, then it was all worth it, because he's going to make his money eventually, right? And he's got money now from the whole NIL stuff. So I think it's going to be a story that I hope ends on a positive note. I know he didn't go to the greatest team, but maybe he can change. He could change that. I don't know.
And Diggs is a diva, and he's a out there diva, and that's fine, long as you playing the game, long as you handle your business. And when he was playing the game and handling his business before he got hurt, and this diva antics on the sideline, and I just don't really think you should be talking about me like. Then that's fine. That's just comedy. But now you've been humbled, Diggs. You've been humbled by your injury, and that diva-ness now needs to take a back seat, because now you've got to come back and prove to everybody that you are that shutdown that you were. And as the old saying is, people see you. You're only as good to people as the last good thing you did. And if you come back as the comeback player, like somebody's saying, and show us that mentally first you're right, because that's the biggest hurdle injured players got to get over. Mentally, am I ready to put all the pressure on that leg and just go and act like it's not a problem? And you get over it. Being an athlete, because I played a lot of ball. Being an athlete, those first couple of games, that's the first thing on your mind. But then all of a sudden you start playing and your instincts take over like you normally were playing, and you forget about the injury. And then about 4 or 5 games, you're like, you know what? I didn't even think about my leg. So you're back. So if he gets to that form and he starts playing the game the way he did before, I don't care about him being a diva and what he puts on social media, long as he's playing the game and he's in there and he's doing what he needs to do.
Yeah.
But
no, I agree.
Shedeur was humbled slightly. He's going to make his money in endorsements. So that $4 million deal, whatever, don't mean nothing. Shedeur was humbled because his biggest issue, now a lot of teams, in spite of that, they went and got Jerry Manziel, Johnny Manziel and the other players that were worse than that. They went and got Tunzel, who had a bong on his face. And I think they were trying to send a signal more to Dion than they were Shedeur. And I really don't like that because what it reminds me of is conspiracy that the owners put together against Kaepernick. And I really hate that shit. But Shedeur, if this humbled you a little bit, now you realize when you get in NFL, you on your own. And this is where you really need to concentrate on playing ball. And when he was selected and they showed him in the living room with his brother and some friends, and they already knew that Cleveland selected him because they called him, but they seemed sincerely happy and gracious that he got selected. And his post-draft announcement, the way he spoke, was perfect. And it seemed honest that he's focused on playing football. Things happen for a reason. He's not going to dwell on it. He's going to go out there and play. And with Cleveland, he's got to do that. I hope Cleveland didn't pick him with that crowded quarterback room they got just so they can say they got him off the board and then they plan on trading him anyway after the first season. I hope they give the man a real opportunity, him and Dylan Gabriel, because Dylan Gabriel's a good quarterback. But Cleveland, if those guys don't succeed, I'm not looking at them immediately as their fault. I'm looking at them that you did not prepare the offense to protect those guys. And if they're running around like chickens with their heads cut off, everybody out there in football nature, remember this. Don't blame those quarterbacks because they're low-hanging fruit. Look at what Cleveland put in front of them to protect them first.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. It's that, and it's all about the situation that you go to more than the quarterback. I mean, I said this before. Would Tom Brady have been Tom Brady if he went to the Washington then Redskins, Dan Snyder, and that misrun organization? Organizations matter to quarterbacks more than any position in football because it's all about the structure that you put them in. And if you're cycling through coaches day in and year in and year out, it definitely makes a difference. So definitely appreciate the love, man. We're getting close to 400 people in here. So guys, if you haven't done it already, man, hit that thumbs up on YouTube, man. It helps the algorithms. It helps show love to the Cowboys Cave. You can also always leave a comment. Let us know what you think about the show. I love constructive criticism. If there's something you want to see different or do a little bit different topics, just leave a comment. I always look at them and definitely reply back. So I appreciate all the love in the Cowboys Cave. And like I said, we're getting things going. It's going to be a little low, because before training camp, but we're going to have some great interviews. We're going to have some great guests. We're doing a lot of collaboration with some other content creators, some other great content creators. So we've got a lot of stuff in store for you on the channel. So definitely hit that subscribe. If you've just been thinking about it, don't think about it, just do it. And then because I wanted to drop a hype video. I was hoping they got some playmakers. They didn't get the playmakers early. I thought the running backs, we talked about a little bit. I was happy with that. So definitely want to see it. So Greg, we're going to put a bow on this show and definitely, want to hear it, get your comments in the chat. What is the one move, and you guys let me know as well, that one move that you want to see the Cowboys do? And I'll give you some options to think about if you're just kind of unsure. Jerry's talking about a big trade. I know you've been very, very vocal about it.
Remember?
Talking about it. You hear Pickens. That could be a guy. Williams, right? Is it Williamson, right? Yeah, from Detroit. Talking about a young receiver on his first contract. You're talking about a cornerback. There's been, Ramsey. There's been talk of different cornerbacks out there or free agent cornerbacks. A Samuel, Asante Samuel. You saw Gilmore. What is the one move that you want to see the Cowboys make that'll really, you ready for you? You're going to bust through the door and do a hype video. Forget about me. What's that one move, Greg? And I want to get your comments in the chat, and I'll post them up.
And I think the majority of the chat room would probably agree with me on this, is a wide receiver, a bona fide, make me want to jump up on my table and dance wide receiver to give us those bookends to keep those defensives honest. And then that next pick, if it's a significant coded, like I said, deal that Jerry's working on, that wide receiver, because I got a feeling that's why they didn't get one in the draft. Wide receiver, and then a boom cornerback. A boom cornerback, like you said, Asante Samuel, somebody. And that right there will make me go outside, stand up on our fountain, and do a hype video. And I think whatever this deal is, significant deal that he's working out, unless it's the Jerry hype, it involves a wide receiver, experienced, bona fide wide receiver. And if we get another cornerback back there that's top shelf, yes, that's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm looking for, a blockbuster.
Yeah, I'm with you. I want, if I had my choice, and I don't know why they would trade him. I don't know why his name's out there. I don't know if it's media hype, but Williamson from Detroit is the guy that I would my son loves him, loved him in college.
Yeah.
I would absolutely bust through that door if they made a trade for him. Pickens too. I like Pickens. Pickens, I worry sometimes, he can get a little too diva, but look who he has thrown him the football. He's never really had a good quarterback. So maybe there's a reason why he gets frustrated in games sometimes, but I would absolutely love if they got the kid from Detroit. That would be phenomenal. And I think, to your point, get a veteran cornerback. I like Samuel. I think that would be a good pickup. He's young. Or go get an older guy that just for stability. You got Cowboys have the cap money just for stability. The other thing, and we'll get into it in later shows, is let's stop the BS with these waiting to the last minute for these contracts. Yeah. Let's get Micah Parsons done. He's going to get paid. The Cowboys are going to sign him. So stop the nonsense. Give him the money so all these guys can focus. They don't have to hear about the media talking about, oh, you're signing. Are you going to hold out? Are you just sign him? He's going to get paid. Just pay the man his money, like my man said in Rounders, and just be done with it. But I would love to see the Cowboys make that one big move at wide receiver, and kid from Detroit would be the one. So
that's if Detroit lets him go, because right now
I can't see why.
Right now we're not the only one that wants that guy.
Yeah,
and Detroit is dangling that fruit, because Detroit is thick with players, but Detroit really can't afford to lose him if they want to keep making that championship run. But if Detroit lets him go, Jared's going to have to come out his pocket. He's going to have to come out his pocket. And if we get that guy, oh my goodness. But I don't, that would be one Jerry would have to go stand up on the Statue of Liberty and announce that if he made that deal. Because
I was trying to look. Did the Lions draft a receiver by any chance? Why would they want, because you hear his name a lot. Why would he even be available? Why would they want to?
Well, it might be a money issue, because they still got to get Hutchinson. They got to get him signed. It may be a money issue, because most of the time it is. And you wonder why some of these key players let go on teams. It's all about what the owner wants to do with his money. And, but coaches would be like, no, they'll get in press conference. Well, I hope we keep him because he's a good asset. They're going to say the right thing, and they're going to slide in there something like, I really want to keep him, without sounding like they're begging, because they don't want to undercut the owner. But the owners are the ones that's going to make that decision based on their pocketbook. But if we get him, it's going to be a huge asset.
I would love Jefferson. That ain't never going to happen. But the thing, they did draft a receiver in the third round, 6'4", big kid, 217. I don't know him much. He's from Arkansas. He's got size, explosiveness, sure hands, give him a starting caliber ceiling, and as a big slot option with developmental upside. So that's who Detroit got in the third round. So maybe they want to go kind of because they're going to have to pay these guys, right? And like you said, if they're cap issues, maybe they want to move on from that and just get another number 2 in there. But anyway, that's what I'm hoping for. But what I'm hoping for you guys to do is hit that subscribe. We got 400 of you guys hanging out in the cave. We do our morning shows. I'm here every Sunday morning. Greg will be there too, but definitely appreciate the love for the Cowboys Cave. We talked about the draft. If you missed any of it, you can definitely go back. But we'll be live again Monday, and then Kelly, K9, and I are back on Thursday. So we're going to get this thing rolling. Appreciate all the love to the cave. Greg, it was, it's been too long. It's been too long of an off season. So glad to have you back. It was a lot of fun on Thursday for the live draft show with Eugene, the Hit Machine. We're working on some guests as well. Larry Brown, the three-time Super Bowl champion with the Cowboys. We're talking about he's going to be coming into the cave. Kevin Gogan, we talked about. So we've got some great guests coming in. So definitely check it out. And again, for those who joined late, I got my man Jimmy Johnson to finally get my Sports Illustrated sign and the first ticket stuff from his first win with the Dallas Cowboys in '89. So, I love collecting this kind of stuff, and Jimmy Johnson's always one of my favorites. So I'm happy to finally get that checked off my list of things that I hadn't been able to get completed. So definitely love it. Greg, any last words before we get rolling? I got to head to Costco.
Nope. I just want to see what we're going to do with this so-called coded message big deal and in free agency. And if it comes out, because, May 1st is when a lot of teams got to fess up or move on. So we'll see. We got about a week away. Maybe that's when the deal's going to be made. And if it's a huge one, I can't wait. Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank all of you. I saw Texas Tech receiver. I know Kelly's really happy about that, Rick. Thank you, everyone who hung out in the cave. We love it. We appreciate it. Hit that thumbs up on your way out. Hit that subscribe if you haven't. And I'll be seeing you in here because we're going to get this hype going. We're going to get this season ready. And we're not thinking about last year's in the past. We think about today. Today is all that matters. So have a great rest of your Sunday, and we'll be seeing you soon. See you.
Give me somebody that's hungry. Give me somebody that's hungry. I need somebody.